Welcome back, everyone, to another Loupe Market Report powered by SlabStox. My name is Aaron, one of your hosts, and today we are breaking down some NBA Finals performance, some injuries in baseball, and some big-time championship performances that are leading to some big soccer run-ups for Italian players. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's Loupe Market Report powered by SlabStox. Before getting into today's market reports, really quick, I want to talk in the intro about two different selling tips that I think you all should implement into your strategies. So today on our YouTube live show, we had one person ask in particular, hey, I'm a huge collector. I really enjoy collecting, but sometimes it's hard to get myself to sell cards. And that is, not a bad thing. I want to point that out. Like if you're a collector and you're buying good cards that are good investments that go up in the short term and long term in value, not a bad thing if you can't get yourself to sell them. I mean, that's what the industry is all about, right? That's what the hobby is about, is collecting, enjoying, and building your collection as you go through time. Now, also on the flip side, not everyone has endless money. Like sometimes you need to sell cards to fund your next investment, to fund your next collection piece. Happens to myself all the time. And, to get yourself to the point to where you feel comfortable selling those cards, two things can happen. One is you buy multiples of a given player. Now, of course, when you collect cards, sometimes you want that specific card, and it's hard to get two of those. Understandable. But if you're collecting a player, investing in a player, and you want to find a way to, sell one and keep one longer term, then what you should do is buy two, buy three, buy four. So it gives you the flexibility to sell one, to sell a second, to keep two back, to keep one back, whatever it is. You get to build in that flexibility for yourself. The next part is that sell when you feel comfortable with your profit. A lot of people hold on too long or they sell too quick, and either way, it's not a bad thing. Selling at the peak is nearly impossible. I've barely been able to do it myself. I've been in the industry for 12 years. You always just need to sell when you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Either if you're taking a loss, if you're making a bunch of money, if you're making a little money, it's just whenever you feel comfortable with that specific player, that specific card, that's when you should sell. And you can really apply that across any cards, any category, any sport, and you'll be happy with yourself. And that's the biggest deal, is you want to make sure that whatever you're doing it because that's what you believe in, and that's what's going to propel you forward in the hobby. It's not because someone else told you to do it, or this X thing says you need to sell at X amount. It's really up to you. Don't chase peaks, don't chase valleys. Just do whatever feels right, and I guarantee you that you will feel good in the hobby, and you'll keep it going, keep that fire going. That's what we really want, is to build long-term collectors here, not just in and out of the industry within a snap of a finger. So be sure to do that, implement it, and I guarantee you'll be happy. Now on to Sam with today's basketball market report.
Sam here with your weekly basketball card market update. Other than the sizable Game 3 loss against my Milwaukee Bucks, the Suns have been cruising through the playoffs, and they remain the prohibitive favorites to win the 2021 NBA Finals. Anywhere you look in the Suns basketball card markets, you see a lot of players on the rise. For the most part, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, almost all of their cards have seen some sizable gains through the NBA playoffs, and they have earned every bit of that. Today, I want to look at two players who enjoy smaller spotlights, but who have been impressive and important role players for this Suns team. Starting with Cameron Johnson, the 6'8" smooth shooting second-year forward down there in the desert. Hasn't been otherworldly or anything like that. Only 8.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, shooting 44% from downtown in the playoffs, but he's done enough to be noticed on the team that most assume will win the NBA Finals, which means that some of his cards are up. We're looking at his 2019 Prism Silver PSA 10 rookie card, looking at sales from over the past month, and this card is up 26.5% in value during that time. Maybe these gains aren't directly correlated to his on-court performances, but they are absolutely being buoyed by the team he plays for, a really strong team, which means that he has some really strong gains in value. Turning our attention next to one of his more impressive teammates, Mccall Bridges' 2018 Prism Silver PSA 10 rookie card is up 22.33% over the past month. He's been excellent during these finals. Over the whole playoffs, he's averaged nearly 12 points and 4 rebounds, an assist and a half, a steal and a half, hitting 38% of his threes on 6 attempts per game, and playing all NBA level defense to go along with it. He's really done a great job covering Chris Middleton during these finals, just harassing him into only 41% shooting from the field. Chris Middleton, who was a hero and national sensation against the Nets and the Hawks, but having a difficult time finding his footing against Mccall, Bridges, and these Phoenix Suns. Now, for both of these players, seeing these pretty sizable gains and projecting out, it's very difficult for teams to repeat as participants in the NBA Finals. It's extremely difficult to repeat as champions, which means that for some of these Suns players, it might not be the worst time to sell. Just playing the odds. Most likely, the Suns won't enjoy this type of national spotlight again for some time. That might not so drastically affect the CP3, Ayton, or Booker markets, but for guys lower down the roster, even as important as they are to the team, guys like Mccall, Bridges, and Cameron Johnson probably won't maintain this type of growth long term. Just something to think about if you are holding either of these players, but in any case, you have to be happy with what you've seen from these players and their cards. Next, let's send it over to Nate for our weekly baseball card market update.
Welcome to the Loupe Baseball Market Report. I am Nate, and today we are talking about Ronald Acuna Jr. So Ronald Acuna, this past week, tore his ACL. He is out for the year, the rest of this year, and probably potentially quite a bit of next year, maybe a month or two. Tough to say. Usually it's about 9 months to a year for recovery. And so if it's a year, he'd be out till July. If it's 9 months, he'd be back in April sometime. But he'd still miss some time next year. I would say at least spring training and then a month, and then he'd have rehab games. And so I'd say at least a month. At least a month for Ronald Acuna. So we're looking at his Prism base PSA 10 here, Prism base. We're looking at his Topps Update PSA 10 here, and we're looking at a 1 month stretch. And so, as you know, base cards have been going down in price, and this has gone down significantly from its height. One went as low as $124.50, which is extremely low, $125 for that card, and it's been hovering between $160 and $130 for a while. And then the last sale was $152 on July 11th. Now the question is, where does this card go from here? Obviously, base cards have been dropping, but it's been staying pretty steadily in the same area for a month here, so I feel like it's probably bottomed out, or it bottomed out while he was playing. Now the question is it going to keep dropping? If this was somebody like Eloy Jimenez, who out of sight, out of mind, Luis Robert, out of sight, out of mind, Nick Madrigal, not to pick on the White Sox, but out of sight, out of mind, then I would say, yeah, it's going to keep dropping. But Ronald Acuna is one of the top 10 players in the league. He's one of the top 3 young players in the league. And so there is no out of sight, out of mind for Ronald Acuna Jr. And because of that, I don't expect his prices to drop. Everyone knows what he can do. They're not going to forget about him. And so there's not going to be sales of Ronald Acuna cards that go for lower than expected because people just aren't looking him up just because he's not playing. And so Ronald Acuna is one of those rare guys that I think prices will stay elevated, even his base PSA 10 prices, and I could be wrong, but I think they will stay elevated throughout this injury because he has such an aurora to him that I don't think people will allow themselves to forget about Ronald Acuna or to buy Ronald Acuna cards. So what works for other guys, Eloy Jimenez specifically, if you had bought in and then waited for news of him to come back and play again, you would have made money. I don't know if that works for Ronald Acuna. It's worth waiting and seeing, wait till December and see if really out of sight and also the offseason drops these prices maybe below 125, maybe to 100, then maybe you could buy in. But I don't expect that to happen. I think Ronald Acuna is one of those rare instances where just because of an injury doesn't mean prices are going to drop. For our football market report today, we are talking about Patrick Mahomes, but not his Prism rookie, his 2018 Prism PSA 9 specifically. Now, we are getting into the time of year where training camp is just a couple of weeks away. Guys are going to be gearing up for the football season. They're going to be buying football cards. We went through that run before the draft where people were buying cards, and then the market cooled down, and I expect the market to pick up again as we're entering the season. Now, who will it pick up for? I don't know if it's going to pick up for the Patrick Mahomes base rookies. All right? I don't know if it's going to pick up for the Josh Allens of the world. guys that were really hot last year and well known. What I do think is a possibility is that it may pick up for the secondary cards. And by secondary cards, I mean running backs and quarterbacks. Cam Akers, apparently his prices have been rising. Guys like that. Guys that Nick Chubb, guys like that people expect to have big roles. And then also, specifically this card right here, and also potentially, a 2019 Lamar Jackson Prism base, on and down the line, Kyler Murray, whatever you want. If you have a really good quarterback and you cannot afford a base PSA 9 rookie of Patrick Mahomes is $2,000, I can't afford that. Some people on here that are watching this probably can't afford that. But if you want a nice, decent Patrick Mahomes card and can't afford that, you can then turn your attention to what we have on the screen here, and that is a Patrick Mahomes 2018 Prism Base PSA 9. Now this card, it's a second-year card, and the second-year trend is a little bit iffy, and the base trend is a little bit iffy. I get that. But, as you can see, it was $49 was the last sale in June. 2 sales, $49 on June 28th. Then it went all the way up to $65, 3 sales on July 2nd, and it's dropped a little bit July 9th, $61, and then July 12th, $63. So not the last sale from July 12th to July 2nd, only a $2 difference. I do think there is some room for this card, as people can't afford the really nice cards. Patrick Mahomes is really good. There is going to be excitement about him and the Chiefs, like there is going to be every year he is on the Chiefs. And so I think if you can't afford a Prism base rookie PSA 10, PSA 9, this is a solid bet. You're only spending $65. If he plays really well, I don't see why this can't go up a little bit. Is it going to hit $100? I don't know. Could it hit $80, $90, and your $65 turns into $15 profit, $30 profit? There's potential there. Obviously, it's not a ton. You have to take out fees, but there is potential there for a card like this, second year base Prism, PSA 9s, PSA 10s, to get a nice little boost, because we're going to get back into football season. People are going to be buying again, and they're not going to be able to afford somebody like Patrick Mahomes rookies because they're just so stinking expensive. And so you can move to this second year Prism base. And you can do that with Lamar Jackson. Anybody, of course, Lamar Jackson is significantly cheaper than Patrick Mahomes, and it goes down from there. But you can do it with anybody. And don't forget, with training camp comes up, fantasy football is coming up. Fantasy football means running back and wide receiver prices are going to be moving. Make sure you sell before the season starts, because then they start dipping again. That is all I have for your football market report for Loupe. Now on to Aaron for the soccer market.
This past weekend, we had the Euro final finally. Big build up to the end. It was a 1 month long tournament. Plenty of amazing games, amazing performances throughout the tournament. Many upsets as well. But to focus on at the very end, Italy beat England in penalty kicks. And this man right here, Federico Chiesa, he had a great tournament for Italy. So he's one of their best young players. He's in the 2018 Optic set as a rated rookie. This Optic Aqua, numbered off 149, rookie hollow, non-graded, is now selling for $215 as of a most recent sale on July 12th. So this card was selling pretty high, $200 back when the market boomed April, May, around there. It dropped a bit, and since then, it's went from now $122 was a sale on April 26th, and has now bumped all the way up to $215. So a really nice rise, around $100 in value for Federico Chiesa. Super talented. He started for Italy for many of those games, and he is just going to be one of those guys. He plays for Juventus. He really powered them forward this year. That I think is a great guy to look into. Maybe not this second. You can see that his cards rose in value, but maybe as they dip into the start of the club season, when maybe not that many people are paying attention to Juventus, a super stud here, great ball control. On the flip side of it, there's a winner in the tournament. There's a loser as well in England. 3 straight penalty misses from the youngsters at the end. Very controversial decisions from Gareth Southgate, their manager, especially throughout the tournament with not playing Sancho barely at all. And then they call him in the 119th minute to then take a PK, which got blocked by Gianluigi, who won player of the tournament. Absolutely incredible performance by him. 22 years old for Italy. Like I said, incredible. But Jadon Sancho made that transfer to Man U on the 90 million plus euro transfer fee. He's going to be a really star player, I think, going forward. But right now, his cards have dropped quite significantly, 58% from the past 3 months with the sale on April 13th for $485. Now we're looking at the last sale of $203. Would not be surprised if the next sale is even lower than that after he missed the PK and England lost. So maybe a really good option to look into this summer. I'm a huge Jadon Sancho fan, so one that I have cards up and might buy more of on this dip. But Jadon Sancho, very talented, didn't really get a shot in the Euro. I wish he got more run and more playing time. But I'm really excited to see what he's going to have going for Man U this upcoming Premier League season. So one to watch, keep an eye on, and do appreciate you all watching this Soccer Market Report. Thank you everyone for watching yet again another Loupe Market Report powered by SlabStox. I hope you learned a couple things about the market today, where it's heading, which players are trending up, trending down. Keep enjoying sports cards. We hope to see you at the 2021 National Sports Collectors Convention. Please make it out to Chicago if you can. If not, we will see you all next Wednesday.